What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today we're back with these 40 facts on the Warhammer 40K universe. Now today we are continuing the lore on the commanders of the Tau Empire. So today I wanted to talk about one of my oldies but goldies, Commander LongKnife, aka SHAS'O Ramir. So way back in 5th edition, I was going bananas with my Tau army, meaning that I was literally, I didn't care what they looked like as long as they looked awesome. So that meant Forge World. So I got rid of the bulky XV8s and I went with the Forge World variants, which gave them like a more sleeker head, some sleeker shoulders, and they just looked awesome. I really like the whole Forge World lineup of models for the Tau. It just looks more Tau in my opinion, which is a little weird, but you know, Forge World does these things to me. And one of my favorite characters from the Forge World lineup of the Tau is Commander LongKnife. He's got this really badass shield as well as a double barrel plasma rifle, and the lore for this guy is also pretty cool. So I was surprised that we haven't covered him yet. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into 40 facts on Commander LongKnife. When the Tau Third Sphere expansion began under the leadership of Commander Shadowsun, the Tau Firecast Supreme Commander, the Tau forces began to seek out new planets in the eastern fringes of the galaxy. This fresh mobilization of Tau Empire military strength required that new developments of military technology to continue, and thus many new leaders were recruited from the Firecast. One such commander was SHAS'O Ramir, and he made excellent use of the latest experimental technology of the XV8 Crisis battlesuit. So at the site of this Third Sphere expansion, Ramir was awarded a command position right under Shadowsun, and he was responsible for several long-range raids against many human colonies. His first success, however, came when he commanded the successful defense of the Tau world of Free Eos against the invading orcs. From here, his reputation only grew, as he became a reliable leader, very dedicated to the cause of the greater good, and he was tactically astute, leading to many more worlds to become colonized from the Tau. One such world was Taros, and Taros is an imperial frontier mining world in the eastern fringes of the Segmentum Ultima, which the Tau Watercast had many diplomats that were in contact with its imperial planetary governor. There were many trades going on. Luxurious goods were traded for the planet's rare heavy metals, and thus both sides benefited from this arrangement. However, this was only the first steps in attaining this planet to fold into the Tau Empire. But in time, the planetary governor's illegal actions with the Tau were discovered by the Administratum, and of course, they had to put a stop to this. A Space Marine strike force comprising of a reinforced company of the Avenging Suns chapter was dispatched to remove the governor from power and execute him. This was in order to send a strong message to the encroaching Tau that the Imperium would fight to keep Taros. Facing execution for their crimes, the planetary governor and the world's mining aristocracy turned to the Tau as an ally. Negotiations saw Tau forces invited into Taros to protect the planet, and SHAS'O Ramir led the first secret landings. His force engaged the Avenging Suns Space Marines who arrived on this world using drop pods, and fierce fighting around the governor's palace soon began. Following this little victory, Ramir moved against the governor himself, removing him from power and quickly disarming his planetary defense force. The Tau commander also ordered the desert's planets, Adeptus Arbites, to be surrounded and destroyed. This planet was now under the martial rule of the Tau, and the Imperium again responded, launching an even larger army composed of Talaran Imperial Guard regiments. The fighting on Taros was indeed fierce, and for 100 days the Tau fought a mobile defensive campaign across the savage deserts. Masterminded by Ramir, the Imperial Guard forces were down, broken, and eventually forced to evacuate with heavy losses. And finally, this world was brought into the greater good. During the fierce fighting on this planet, the Officio Assassinorum sent an assassin to kill Ramir, but this plan was foiled, and Ramir survived. Unfortunately for the Tau, the ethereal Aun Vray was killed in the attack. Driven by grief and a desire for vengeance, Ramir personally led the final assault on the Imperium's landing fields that ended the Taros campaign. Ramir swore vengeance against the Imperium of Man for the death of his ethereal. The ethereal's death at the hands of the assassin deeply affected this commander, and as time passes, his grief and hatred towards humanity and the Imperium only grows stronger. Now back in 5th edition, this hatred for the Imperium was actually incorporated into his rule set, so if you played a game against any Imperium forces, I believe you got the rule Preferred Enemy, which at that time let you re-roll attacks against that enemy, but I'm not sure what he has now in 8th edition. I gotta look up his rules, but it was a pretty cool thing as to how the lore incorporated into this model. But anyway, that's all the lore we've got on this commander for the Tau, but never fear because we still have to talk about his weapons and war gear. Now SHAS'O Ramir's personal battlesuit is the very latest development of the XV8 Crisis Suit. It not only boasts the use of experimental weapon, the double-barreled plasma rifle, but it also has various modifications to its suit, such as a strength and shield generator and a modified Tau vehicle flechette discharger. He is also often accompanied by his dedicated bodyguard, which are also clad in experimental suits, such as the XV81, XV84, XV89, and such. Now these battle suits we'll get into in a later video. They're basically XV8s but with a few modifications. For example, one has a target lock, one has a better defensive alloys in their armor, but again we'll get into that a little bit later, guys. The cool thing about his battlesuit is that if he got charged, he had that flechette discharger, which is usually seen on Tau vehicles, and it basically sends out like flares or like shrapnel at the enemy. So obviously Tau are weak in close combat, but if this guy got assaulted, he would at least have a chance to kill off a few of the models before they get to hit him. Now I'm not sure exactly how that works in 8th edition, guys. Again, I haven't seen his rule set yet, but I'm pretty sure the flechette discharger is still in the codex, so it probably does something similar to what it did back in 5th edition. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it on this guy. He had a really cool model. Like I said, back in the day I actually used to play this guy. Forge World used to be kind of a, how do I put it? Forge World was kind of overpriced. Really overpowered models most of the time, so my play group didn't really like to play against Forge World, but I brought him in a few games, and he did alright. I mean, back in 5th edition, the Tau were terrible. So I definitely got to field this guy in our 8th edition games to see how he stacks up nowadays. If you guys have used Commander LongKnife in your battles, let me know how he did. Or if you guys have any other Tau conversions and whatnot, also send it to us via our Facebook page. And yeah, if you guys have any other commanders you want us to talk about, such as Commander Ra Alai, which is another Forge World Tau commander, let us know, because these Tau commanders are pretty epic, if I do say so myself. Or if you guys want us to talk about more in depth as to other Xenos races, such as the Dark Eldar, the Orcs, that kind of thing, let us know in the comments. And that's all I've got for today's video. As always, I'm the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.